asking me about this since he started. This is the Core 4. You guys have all seen basic presentations with this. If you guys have been here for less than a year, the biggest thing is how do we get into these people that have money and do a presentation and bring somebody back, okay? Sam actually did one of these, what, a month into the business? The biggest case you've written so far was a monster one. So I'm going to have, do you guys all have copies of this Core 4 presentation with tic-tac-toes and buckets and all that? Tristan? I'm going to have John just make a few copies. Do you have one of these?
Yeah, but I'd like one now.
Okay, I'm going to have John. Come on in. Take that. Would you mind making 5 copies of these?
Fine.
Yeah.
You're something entertaining.
That's a good shot, yeah. Go ahead, more horizontal.
Them in black stripes should have been.
It came with the polka dot shirts making funny. I don't get it.
Wow.
Great.
That was nice to Matt last week, so that'd be nice this week too, boy.
I just said to myself, waiting for Andy and Red instead of Randy and Ed. Neither you. We'll wait.
Hey, clean my glasses.
Do you guys all know what that little diamond presentation is? Do I have to go through that again? You guys have that down for the most part? Does everyone knows what I'm talking about? Medicare ABD, the 4 triggers, then you're talking about life insurance and everything? Okay, so I want to go. Hey, where's that? I'm gonna look real quick.
He's out in the hall.
That's the regular diamond. A lot of people ask me for those too.
Deal accomplished. Oh, that was Marty, my bad. Okay, thanks.
Oh, boy.
This is for you, Ed. I dragged everybody else in here too.
Thank you very much.
You guys hear me do this all the time anyways. I'm gonna have a couple of the guys that have been doing this for a while kind of present these now to get their take on it. You're gonna see it's the same exact thing that I do in the house. It's no different. But the really simple basic presentations, you don't have to know whether it's gonna be an ING or a Lincoln policy. All you need to know is say, hey, listen, you know what? You got an old life insurance policy? I don't care what it is. Show them a bucket presentation, and that's just to get that policy out. You're going to find little accident policies or AARP term policies that are not going to be there. You may find bigger ones. It's not going to be the same 1035 dumping. But it is going to get enough interest in them that they're going to grab their policy or let you call the company. How many times have we run across people before and they say, oh yeah, I've got an old policy, it's whole life, it's $10,000, it's $8 a month. Mrs. Jones, you have a $4,000 policy and it's a term that's going to end in 3 years. Okay, so this just gets them talking about their life insurance, and all I do is I do the basic presentation in the front that I do, and then after I'm done with this, I'll pivot to something, flip the sheet over, and I'll do one of these Core 4. If it's something bigger, then I'll book a go back. Okay. So Greg's gonna run into a house where it's just life insurance.
Okay. Basically, what we do is once you kind of get an idea of what's going on, you say just to kind of explain how life insurance works in general. It's hard being left-handed. But
There was not another form, it said in the email.
I can't see.
basically works like a bucket. You pay your premium. Let's say it's a bigger one. I'll use the one that I think you have on the example. You pay your premium each month. It's $200 per month. The company says you're going to have a $200,000 benefit for that. You're paying your premium each month. What comes out of that bucket each month is what's called the cost of insurance. Let's say, just for an example, that's $150 a month, and that's your cost of insurance. So what's left is $50 a month. Over time, that $50 just builds up, and that's what your cash value. Say you've had this policy 15, 20 years. Let's say you have $15,000 in cash value. And the way the life insurance works with a whole life policy, that cash value, if something happens to you, how much do you get? You get $200,000. The company actually keeps this $15,000. So what do? You have a couple different options. I want to draw this a little bit bigger for a reason.
on the total, a little more.
You actually, you got this policy back in, let's just say 2000. What's happened over time is just like with car payments. People are expected to live longer now than they did back in the 1990s, 1980s, and as that's happened, your cost of insurance has actually gone down for people. So now in 2011, you're able to do some things a little bit different. Say you keep your premium the same as you had before, you still pay in your $200. Now you're able to get, let's just say for an example, a $400,000 benefit. This cash value, you can do a couple things with it. You can surrender the policy, take that cash value home with you. The other thing that you can do is you can do a 1035 exchange. Take the money from this bucket and put this into a new policy. And with that 1035 exchange, there's no tax consequences with that. So now that $13,000 is back in this policy here, just like you had before. Cost of insurance still comes out, but because the cost of insurance is so much less now, you're able to get a much larger policy. So that'd be one way of doing it. So you can either take this cash out, get a new policy maybe for a similar amount, just because the cost of insurance is so much less. You can borrow against this, but that just creates a loan, which kind of like a cancer going inside the policy. And then that's when you try and figure out exactly what they have, what you can do with it. Maybe sometimes these numbers, like Ed and I ran across one the other day, the lady had $2,700 benefit. She was paying $21 a month. It was a graded benefit, a graded policy originally. She's had it for 5-7 years, but she had $466 worth of cash value. She was able to get a brand new policy, take that $466, put it in her bank account, and double her benefit. She actually tripled her benefit from what she originally had, for basically the same price per month.
Yep, thanks. This is very basic, guys, and seniors love this because it's just pictures and it just makes sense to them, okay? The only thing I would say is I would put this back a little bit further in time, so it was 20, 30 years ago, and explain it kind of like a mortgage. That's one way of kind of helping it. If I took out a $300,000 mortgage, and then I said, hey, you know what, it's going to be a 15-year mortgage, and I'm going to stretch it out to a 30-year, my payment's going to be cheaper, right? Right? You take a 15-year, it's $1,000 a month, and then I stretch it out to a 30-year. Now it's only $600 or whatever that comes out to. So, that's basically the same exact thing. Now, Mrs. Jones, you may not have a $200,000 policy, you may only have 10 or 15, but the same principles apply. What I'm going to do is make a quick phone call, find out what's going on inside of here for you, and just see what the outcome is. Okay? Don't wait for them. A lot of times that I'm here on the phone or anything else is, what I can do is I can give you a free review. Do you know what your policy is? Hopefully you already know what the company it's with, but just assume it, just like we do when we're closing for the app. I just need to see your driver's license. I just need to see your policy. I'm just going to make a phone call real quick. That's the way that it is. That's the way you get into these. You don't want to sit back and then put up the wall. Well, if you'd like, we can go ahead and give you a free review. Just assume it. Assume it's a really good thing for them. So this is really important. You guys have any questions about how this works?
You're looking at 5
At
to
all?
7?
For people in general, let's say, Matt, I know Tristan ran into a big one in Johns Island. He did a great job. I don't know how he got the figures, but he built up enough interest and he's got it all written down on a piece of paper. Okay? You feel comfortable enough, you go back on your own. If you're sitting there and you're like, man, you know what? This is a big, big case. I don't know what to do. Bring somebody back to close it for you. That's all I did with Mike Kelly when I first started. I don't care what people said. Oh, you're only making money because you're working with Mike Kelly. You know what? I'm setting him up and he's knocking him down. They can say the same thing with Kirk and the same thing with Greg. You guys saw the awards these guys got last year, right? And that's half the commissions on these. You can make a really good income learning everything right up in front. Now, what happens if you try it on your own, you go there, and the guy says, you know what, sounds great, I want to have my attorney look at it, I'll have my kids talk about it, and now you don't know the correct rebuttal, and now you just lost it. Holy smokes. Oh my God, that was a $12,000 case, I tried doing it on my own, and it didn't happen. So overcoming objections and making a smooth process, they ask you a question you don't know. Well, what exactly is this? Let me run to the car real quick. Hey, what exactly does this happen? I don't know how to explain this. You're done. You already lost your professionalism in the house, and now you're going to go back and try to save it again. Okay? So try to do it right off the bat. I'm not saying bring somebody back, every single time. But at least for the first couple, you guys need to see it done right off the bat. I don't care if you've been here for a year. There's still cases that I go back on with these guys because you know that you just do it seamless right from the start. Okay? So I want you guys to get good at this stuff and just learn this presentation. Then you come back and say, Matt, do I do ING, or do I do this, or do this? What do I do? I have no idea. Okay? All you have to do is get this presentation done and do just like, I mean, Tristan's got all the information right on a piece of paper. Makes it a whole lot easier if we bring somebody back, or if he wants to, put numbers together and we just send him on his way, either way. But at least you've got all those facts down. That's all this bucket presentation does. Kirk, I want you to talk about annuities a little bit. I'm brand new. I just started in the business. This guy's got Merrill Lynch and Smith Barney, and I'm terrified. He's got TRICARE for life. He's already got long-term care insurance, and I don't know where to go.
Yes, what?
He's got all his insurance taken care of. Here, you can write with this.
There's two kinds of drugs for walked in here. Which is the best?
Just start on purple elephant.
Use the other one, the clear tip, the black.
This here?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Let me see your cheat sheet. You talking about? You said he had what?
Just for this purpose, he's got all his insurance taken care of, or let's say he's uninsurable. Can't get anything. Okay? The
Okay.
guy's
And
turning
he's got-
65, he's uninsurable, and he's got TRICARE for life. So the only pivot would be some kind of investments. He's in Bluffton, lives in Sun City, and he's got a bunch of money.
Okay. At that point, I'll just say, let me show you something real quick. If you were going to if you were investing with a broker, he would put you in two different categories. You have your fixed side of investments. That'd be like your savings accounts, and I'm not spelling this good. CDs, money market, maybe fixed annuities. Okay. What people like about this side is it is very safe. Okay. What people don't like about this side is it has a low rate of return. And then I'll usually say, well, I don't have to tell you that. You have a bunch of money in CDs and you're not getting anything right now. Then the other side they're going to put you in would be in the variable side. And on this side, now I'm right-handed, and so I'm standing in front of the whole board. So you have the anyway, you have the variable side. You're going to have stocks. You have some of your money is in stocks, and then I'll ask them if you have some mutual funds, correct? And they'll say, yeah. And I said, well, did they go down, in the past couple of years? And they go, yeah, they dropped down. And I said, well, you know about this side, mutual funds, ETFs, or exchange-traded funds, or like groupings of mutual funds. And you might have some, variable annuities. What people like about this side is it has a high potential rate of return. I'm not going to write all that out. What they don't like about this side is it can be very risky. Okay, now, so what we usually put folks in is we work with folks that are getting ready to retire, planning on retirement, who are retired. And so when you were younger and you were investing your money and the stock market goes up and down, and you don't really have to worry about whether it's going up or down because you're in it for the long haul. A lot of stuff you're going to invest in might be mutual funds, stocks, and all. But if it goes down, you get ready for retirement. That's a big deal. So we put folks in either the equity indexed annuities or fixed indexed annuities. It's the same thing. Names are synonymous. And in this particular side, or this particular area, is kind of a hybrid of both. You have the opportunity. It's very safe. You can't lose your money, and you have a high potential rate of return. Now, there's other benefits to it. It grows tax deferred. Okay. Just abbreviate that. It skips probate. The only things that the only investments or the only types of funds that you might have that skip probate are gonna be trusts, probate.
Skips prostate. Keep
Yeah,
going.
kids, yeah, there you go. Trusts, life insurance, and annuities are the only things that are gonna skip probate. If you have, money in stocks or CDs, money market, mutual funds, whatever, all of that is gonna go through probate. It's gonna get tied up for 9 months to 12 months. And then from this point, go to that graph and play it out and show them where their money is. Now, it doesn't matter where their money is, because they might have money in stocks and mutual funds and some of it in CDs. If they're in the stocks and the mutual funds, then I'll emphasize more the roller coaster ride that they might have been on in the past, and show them between 1999 and 2009 that okay, and I guess if we had the graph there. But I'll usually say, well, if somebody's in CDs or money market, I'll say, well, you're all on this side and you're getting a very low rate of return right now, aren't you? And then they'll go, oh yeah, and I said it might be, in the money market, it's gonna be like 0.3% or, a year. It's gonna be pretty bad, CDs. And anyway, I'll go through the graph with them and then come back and say, now the gross tax deferred skips probate. You can get your funds out. You can take out 5% the first year, and you can take out 10% years 2 through 10, and then I think there were some other benefits I forgot about there.
You
If
guys,
you're-
you
Yeah.
did a good job. Basically what you want to get out of this is that whole chart, you have to know it verbatim, okay?
Yeah.
This is something that, they're used to sitting down with Smith Barney, that's good, Terry, thank you. They're used to sitting down with Smith Barney and Merrill Lynch and saying, you know what, we're gonna put together a whole comprehensive portfolio for you. We're gonna put you in some of the fixed side over here, like he said. You're gonna like this because it's very safe. It's liquid money, it's very safe for you. But you know what? You're not gonna make a ton of money. This is just for our safety net. We're gonna make it up on this side though. Don't worry, this is the one we're gonna make up some money. This is why you pay your broker, okay? It's gonna have a little bit more potential for return, but you do carry some risk with it. And just like he said, what a lot of my clients are looking for, I say, listen, I'm sick of the broker charging me all these fees and, kind of losing money and making money now that I'm 70 years old. But I also don't want to go put it in Wachovia Bank of America because they're hardly paying anything. So what do I do? That's the question that I asked them. I said, that's what my clients are asking me now. And part of them said, you know what, you're kind of right, okay? So just like he said, this is just a basic chart. I just used just random years. Have you guys all seen that chart? 1 second. Have you guys all seen that chart that they have that's in color? It shows the indexed annuity versus the S&P.
Yeah.
That is your dynamite tool as a brand new agent. Or if you've been here for a year or 5 years, I use it all the time. Okay, you want to remember that one. What's up, Sam?
What's the average interest rate? Just, the number?
Of the S&P, or the market?
No, of the fixed index annuities?
There's no average rate. I mean, there's different indexing inside of them. So if there's 7 different strategies, and it's like buying a stock and say, what's the average stock return of PepsiCo? Well, when did you buy it? When did you sell it? What are the the different things inside of it? There's 6 or 7 different ways of allocating the funds inside of an annuity, and it all depends on when that annuity is issued.
Right.
You do a month to month or a point to point, it's hard to determine.
Another question I have, they have a 1.7 cap for the month to month. Is there any kind of floor that, like, if there's a really bad month, will it not go under negative 1.7?
No.
So theoretically, one really bad month can screw your whole year?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You guys know how that works, and that's more for an annuity training, but that's more in depth. They're going to measure the performance every single month, okay? Because what they're going to do is they're going to add up all those months. So the best case scenario is 1.7 times 12. Worst case scenario would be zero, obviously. But that's your way of making up more, okay? So they're going to register that every single month across the board for you. So that's more of an annuity. I just want to talk about basics right now. You don't want to. That's another thing too. If you guys really don't know the details of the annuity, don't talk about it. Because if they ask you a question like that, well, Mr. Jones, I wasn't here to talk about this today. I wanted to go over Medicare and what's going on for you. I'll put some ideas together for you next week. Unless you're fluent with annuities, because if you get asked that question, this guy's looking at a couple $100,000, you might have just flopped that sale. But Dave can answer that like that, okay? This chart over here, Mrs. Jones, this is basically the way the S&P 500 was over the last 10 years. The time is, it doesn't really matter. And when you're talking about this, actually explain from year to year. Back in the 90s here, they showed the S&P was doing well because the Googles and the Yahoos. The market went up, everybody went up, and they did great, right? Well, my clients went up as well. They just didn't go up as high as the market. Instead of making 18, 20%, they might have made 13 or 14, okay? The market shot down. My clients floated across to the next year. You guys all know the chart I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Go through every single one of those. There's two rhymes. What are they besides Kirk and Greg? What are the two rhymes you want to present to
Zeros
them?
are heroes.
Zero's our hero. I get a phone call from Mrs. Jones saying, Matthew, I'm not too happy with you right now. I just showed I didn't make any interest this year. Mrs. Jones, had you been in the stock market, you would have lost your shirt. I had a lady call me. She was a nurse, and she actually said, Matthew, how much am I down? I just talked to so-and-so that had a different account. She lost 26%. Well, we didn't lose anything. What do you mean? I don't understand why we didn't lose anything. Like I said, zero is our hero. But when that market does come back, we're going to go back up with it. Okay? What's the other one?
Retain your gain.
Okay? What does that mean?
You don't lose what you've already
You don't.
accumulated.
That's right.
Exactly. I got a client, let's say my client had one awesome year and they made 12%. They're never going to lose that 12% unless they withdraw. They're locked in forever. Unlike the stock market that can gain 12%, the very next year could lose that plus their principal. So it's more of a ratcheting effect. If I've got a bolt on the wall and I've got a wrench, I turn it and tighten it, right? What if I back that wrench up? What's going to happen? It's going to loosen it, right? That's what the stock market is. We're tightening and loosening as we're going along. When it comes to an annuity like this, it's more like a ratchet. You tighten, and a bad year you don't lose anything, you just keep tightening throughout the rest of your retirement years. Okay? So it just gives them a visual and says, okay, that makes sense. This is not designed for all your money. It's not designed for somebody who wants to make 25, 30% returns. That's what a broker's for. My clients are the ones that are sick of the banks, and they're sick of brokers, but they're looking for some kind of middle ground. Matthew, I don't mind making 6, 7, 8% returns. I just don't want to lose, 10, 12, 15%. Okay? And this actually helped sell it a couple of times. What I would do is their entire net worth. This guy had $500,000. Right? And he said before he had about $300,000 here and $200,000 here. And the way that I sold it, I said, listen, I don't mind that you have this much money in the market. I'm in the market myself. The market's going to be a good year. Hopefully we do really well. But over here, you're making less than 2% with your money right now, right? So why not diversify and put something else in this middle bucket here? You guys want to talk buckets again, you can do that. So instead of having it this way, what if we did 100,000, 200,000, 200,000? You're still safe, but you get more market potential without having to take the risk. Okay? These are the things that I learned real quick in the business, and I brought people back like crazy. It's not about selling on your own. It's not about knowing. I don't even know what annuity to put them in. Greg and I ran into a guy in Hilton Head. I had to come back to Dave and said, Dave, what do you think? He's 85 years old. What are our options? But when I left that house, did I talk about any specific annuity? There's no reason to. I was here to talk about the Medicare stuff. I'll come back next week. I'll put some ideas together for you. I've got a lot of clients I have to see today. What did I do? Did I tell them I'd give them a call?
No,
I booked it right there in the house, didn't I? Do you have a calendar you write your appointments in? Book it right there in the house if you're not going to meet with them or close it today. That's very, very important. Because once you're back on the phone, now you're a telemarketer all over again. I got to get back in the house, damn it. Book it in the house. It's really, really important. Does this stuff make sense to you guys?
Yes.
You have to do it. And again, you guys see, ask Kirk and Greg, half the people I meet with doing bucket presentations and tic-tac-toes, they're not interested at all. They're just sitting there. I mean, a lot of times we sit here and we wait for these people to see if they have like a buying sign. When I'm presenting this, they don't really know what I'm talking about yet. Once I do a presentation, let me show you something real quick. Take this sheet, like I do every single time, flip it over and I just write it down. Guaranteed you grab Kirk and Greg's fact finders right now, almost all of them have something written on the back of this form. But it's a great way of getting people back in the house, and once you're comfortable, start doing it on your own. I still book go-backs if I'm not 100% on it. Let me run some numbers for you, I'll get back to you. But book it in the house, it's really, really important.
Matt,
Any questions?
Just wondering on it, because doing the tic-tac-toe, looking at it from, you know, when you're doing it, you're not thinking about stuff. Looking at it from here, on the right side where you have blocks, we have stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, variable, all of those have costs involved. We have fees that are like 1.5% to 3%. If at that same time, so now if you're on this side, you know, if you know somebody's got money in there, now you're getting charged fees whether you know it or not. And do a little bracket and write that off to the side. I don't know. Does that make
Well,
sense to do it that way? 'Ccause
It doesn't
I'm
necessarily
kind of
have
a
to be
visual
there.
person.
I've run into Merrill Lynch accounts before. Merrill Lynch has their own CDs, and they're charging fees on that too. It is a good
Oh,
idea to
really?
add the word
Oh,
fees
that's
to
right.
it, but it's not
recall that.
necessarily here. I once ran into a guy in Mount Pleasant at $500,000 with Merrill Lynch, and he had a CD making 4.5%. He was so excited about. His broker was charging him 1.5% to manage it.
Yeah, I think we ran across that in
It's crazy.
Bluffton or somewhere.
But I mean, that's a great point. It's
So
fees.
CDs could have them too. I forgot about that.
Well, annuities have it too, don't they?
Annuities have them, but it's not out of their money. It's out of their returns that they've made with it.
Isn't that like everything else?
No.
Even if you lose with stock, you're still paying your broker.
Stocks like that.
Everyone that lost 2 years ago a bunch of money in the market, you know, they still pay their broker commission. Hey, thanks for losing me 30%. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You can still go on your cruise though. That's fine. Okay. So I wanted to share this with you guys. There's
Can I
other ones.
interject one
Yes.
thing? Ed, could you pull that chart out of your book there, right there? This is very important for the new folks. Thank you. All you have to do to explain this chart, kind of like that, is just say two people start with the same amount of money. One person put it in the stock market, one person put it into our annuity type product that we have. They both started with $100,000. The person that went with our product wound up with $193,000. And the person that went to the stock market wound up with $80,000. Exact same money going in, the exact same time period, but because we retain our gain and zero is our hero, this is what they got up here. Let me bring somebody back to show you how we can help you in this area. And that's really all you have to say.
Thanks. I'm glad you mentioned that. When you guys are in this business, one of the biggest things that, you know, it's kind of hard not to say
Not
is,
easy.
I'm fairly new. Is it, you know, can I bring back David, our financial advisor or whatever? That can scare people. Oh, so what are you, just like the guy who goes out and finds him and then brings the other guy back? Is that how this sales job works? Is that how you guys do it? Put him up on a pedestal. No, but this is important because these clients are going to look at you. I know if I was in front of Randy and Vicky, they'd probably think the same thing. I know a lot about this stuff that goes on. I'm going to go back and do this. It's not a big deal. On your way out, it's a very, oh, by the way, there's this guy in the office who does all the income riders and stuff for us. If I can squeak him away for about 20, 30 minutes, I'll bring him as well. His name is David. Or Matthew, whoever you want to bring back. But he's really good at this in particular. Not that I don't know anything. He's really good and put him up on a pedestal. And every single time I work with Doug Clancy, you guys know Doug runs the California branch, you've met him. He'd go in, oh, can I use your bathroom real quick? I'm sitting at the table, you know, kind of making small chat. I told you that guy was sharp, right? Yeah, he is good. Put him up on a pedestal. Brag about him. That's what really counts when you're talking about this stuff, because they're going to be like, yeah, he is really good. He does know his stuff about this. That's why I wanted to bring him back. He's been doing this for a long, long time. Okay? Who's enough gentlemen on the front end? There's other core 4 ones there. I don't want to go through those today. These are the big ones that I don't think people are using to the full extent. Okay? And this is everybody. This is for Scott, Randy, Kirkregg. It's good for everybody to review this stuff. Feel the pressure a little bit, got to present it. That's the same thing in the house. You never know the next one you run into may be a Natera. Maybe one you have to do one of those presentations for. That's one of our clients that we're working with now. So I'm sorry to take up as much time as we did, but Ed had been asking me for a while, but it's really important for everybody to run across this. The other core 4s there just talk about Medicare versus the Medicare supplements and Advantage plans. The other one is long-term care basics, okay? 2 ways to do long-term care, the traditional way, the hybrid way. Which one do you want to do? So you can just kind of read through those and kind of explain that. At a different time, we'll go over that, but that's basically it for today.
Can I add one thing?
No.
Never mind. Okay. Figure that really quick. Especially, you know, for people that are a little bit newer, I know in the middle there it says fixed index annuities. I like to stay away from wording it all about talking about it and just talk about it as a program.
Right.
Every time I go and I talk about, well, we have some programs there that and talk about the benefits. But if you stay away from the word, because sometimes they may have a preconceived notion
Sure.
of an annuity way in the past, or they've heard something, somebody said something about,
Good point.
and so I always talk about programs and keep it as programs.
Randy says savings program, it's really good too. We got a fantastic savings program.
That's what we use.
Because that's what they're used to hearing. They're
Sure.
used to CDs, they're used to bank stuff, and I don't want to say something like Scott said, great point, that's gonna make them say, oh, no, I don't want any of that stuff.
I heard about that in the eighties and a bunch of people lost their shirts on
Right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then you have to go through, oh, this is completely different kind of thing, and rather not have to do that.
It's easier to go down the hill and climb up it.
Yeah, stay generalities, stay program, don't be afraid to say, hey, look, that's not really my specialty, or, I need to go back and do some more research, make sure to do the right thing. Don't be afraid to do that. They'd rather you go back and take the time and bring the right information to them. I even do that. I do it with Dave still all the time. I run into a for sure possibility. Hey, look, my specialty, what I do training in is over in the Medicare side and health and life. That's where I do a lot of training in. I don't do a lot of training over here, so I'd like to bring back somebody else that just knows a little better than I do.
I want you guys to always remember this though. Some of the biggest clients that I've run across were not interested at all. Straight-faced Rothenbergs. You're talking about Walt Sailors. All these clients that make or break a year are these people that weren't interested at all. Yeah, I got life insurance, I don't want to touch it. Well, maybe we can give you a free review. No, I'm not interested. They're not interested
That
in a
happens
free
a
review
lot.
because you haven't given them the reason. Why should I get my policy? Because you get three options. You can get it paid up and stop your premium, more bang for your buck, erase loans. I mean, there's more than three options, but there's a bunch of different ways inside of that. Draw the bucket presentation to stir up some excitement. A reason to call that company. Once you call the company, this is an accident policy. This is a policy that's $10,000. The other 15 you thought was whole life was an accidental rider on that. How many times you run across that? You don't have 25 grand, you've got 10. But they think in their mind, oh, it's 25 and it looks good. Now that company that puts the three things down, they add the accident on the bottom of it. So pull it out of thin air because that's where the big ones come from. They're not interested because if they were, they would have been sending out mail cards to everybody who wanted to learn about that stuff too. So.
This might be a little too technical for this meeting, but what kind of tax consequences are associated with the modified endowment contract?
Screwed, what's the modified agreement?
It's when it doesn't pass the
Life
7-pay
insurance
guideline
into a
premium
investment
test.
vehicle.
Right. It means if you take money out of that, it's going to be considered taxable. Cash value. Doesn't affect anything with a death benefit though.
Right, but if it happened before 1988, before they got that, then it's not an MHC. Is that right? So they can take out as much money as they can tax-free?
I have no idea.
That was on the test, I remember that.
Well, if you're running something like that, call the company.
Yeah.
Do you have
Oh,
a
ask
client? Do you have a client?
Yeah, I have a
who's
guy, he's
concerned
using
about
his
that?
life insurance, his cash value is like an investment. So,
ING's got lawyers that'll definitely help you with that. That's one of the things.
It's not necessarily a big deal if it's an older policy like that. If you're doing a lot of the newer ones, the newer 1035s, that's where you see the mechs come in. Just because they have a bunch of cash value doesn't mean it's a mech.
right.
It's when you dump it in a lump sum into a new policy to say, listen, you've superseded the 7-pay guideline. You're putting in too much premium. Are you doing this for an investment purpose? If you are, we're going to tax you on the money you take out of it. So, for what we use it for, it's not a big issue. If you do run across something that's a really big deal, then again, I would call the company. I call them all the time.
Yeah.
So, any questions on the concepts in general? Do you guys understand this for the most part? Just really basic, a tic-tac-toe. Everybody in the world knows how to do it. My daughter probably knows how to do it. I don't even know it yet. So, just really use the stuff. Buckets and tic-tac-toes, just to create an interest, to book somebody to go back. When you're in the house, don't tell them you'll call them or set up another time. Or I'll put some numbers together and give you a call on Friday. Book them in the house. You may never get a chance to get back in there again. How hard is it getting back on that guy in Johns Island? He's been in Baton Rouge or Louisiana forever.
It's a disaster.
It's really important when you're there. I'm going to put this together. Give me at least a couple of days because I'm pretty busy. But next Monday at this time, grab your calendar and write it in there. I do it all the time. Just write my name in there on the calendar.
Tuesday, 10 o'clock's a good time for you. Let's do it next Tuesday.
Yep. That's it, guys.
Thank you
As
very
if
much.
you hadn't had enough training today.
Appreciate it.